It's called Center of the Circle. I don't know, they consider it kind of rough area.
He grew up in a rough neighborhood, but I think I attribute a lot of how he came out to his mom. I don't think that, they let him out very much, unless it was for organized sports. It's not like he was out running the neighborhood.
Growing up there, I think that's how I got started in the football, because we used to be like, it got like a path with like a lot of grass, so we used to play like, we used to call it throwing up, running through a little football. So thing like growing up, like me and my brother, so he was always, he was labeled as the basketball and I was labeled as the football. I was excited. I mean, I didn't really know. I never put on equipment or nothing before, no stuff like that. So, I was kind of like the small, one of the smallest guys out there. And my mom didn't want me to play, but I knew I wanted to play. So, 9 years old from Mechanicsville Panthers.
We heard about this one young stud athlete, playing at Mechanicsville, if I remember correctly. Little bitty old thing. Man, was he quick and could he move. And then he went on to play at Oaklawn, and that's when we really, got to see, what he could do, as he grew up.
I wanted a little more competition, so I was like, man, I'm just gonna almost go straight to the junior high. Throughout that season, I eventually started.
I remember Buddy Marcella came up to me, and Buddy said, "Who you here to see?" And I said, "Well, I'm here to see Brandon." He said, "Brandon's a good player," but he said, "I'm going to tell you who's the guy you should be looking at." And I said, "Who's that?" And he pointed to this little guy over there. And I kind of looked at him. I said, "Are you joking?" And he said, "No." He said, "That guy's a real deal." That was the first time that I saw Phil.
We went undefeated my 8th grade year and everything, so it was I wouldn't say it was. It wasn't easy. Like TBR was, man, it was just out running people. And once I got there, I started like learning the blocking schemes, learning what this person was doing, that person do. So it wasn't just like running straight to the sideline and outrunning people. So you had to understand blocking scheme, understand defense, and so I think my 8th grade year I started doing that more, and then it translated to the next level. I knew from the jump that I was going to South Terrebonne. It was like, and when you look at it now, it's like how people call like DBU and all that stuff, but everybody know you was a good running back. You going to ST. That's where that was at. And like you said, before me, I knew Aaron Harris and all those other guys, Joe Coop and all those other guys before me. So I just wanted to be the next running back, the next best running back to come through ST. So that was all on my mind ever since, like you said, Oaklawn, just to be the next running back at ST.
Against John Curtis, his freshman year, he was on the defensive side of the ball for us, and he was returning.
I think Curtis was in our district at that time, and I remember it being a foggy night.
And they kicked the ball off the field, and he ran it back to their 15-yard line. Joe McKnight was a stud, on the offense, and we had Phil on the defensive side, and he played he played every down as a true freshman against John Curtis, powerhouse in Louisiana, and that final score of that game wound up being 6-3, and Phil played a great defensive game that game.
I think in half a season he ended up making all district in half a season.
Wound up being first team all district his freshman year as a defensive back.
Before like me moving up, I really didn't know too much about John Curtis, but then I had a good game that day. I had a couple sacks, fumble recovery. I had like a good kick return, I think, that game. So that's one game I ain't gonna forget.
He had enough quickness and speed that he could bait people and get them to throw the ball his way and then just close on it. Probably West St. John it might be one that he returned. I think he returned a kick return late in the game that ended up winning us. And I can remember talking to, asking Coach DuPont, you know, Laurie after the game, I said, why do y'all kick it to him? And he looked at me, I was stupid. And he said, do you think that we told them to kick to
I remember we were playing against H.L. Bourgeois when we were in the same district in 5A football. And Phil had, I want to say, I think he might have had the single game record in rushing.
Curlin them came, that was the first time we went into that eye. And then once we got into that eye, I think it changed. They didn't really have a game plan for us then, so, and then that's how we was able to, give me more touches, and I was able to get those yards.
We couldn't stop H.L. Bourgeois' offense, and Phil was strictly playing mainly. He would spot play defense after that, but he was mainly offense. And I remember going up to him, going, "Phil, I'm sorry. You know, we can't. We're gonna need you again next drive." You know.
This was the dumbest thing I probably ever did in my life. Okay, we were going to see who was faster, the Lab or Phillip. All right, and so I think we had a ball or something that we threw, huh? We threw that ball, and Phillip took off, and the dog took off, and this dog was fast now. And Phillip was in front of it the whole time. And after we finished, he beat the dog, and after we finished, I said, what if that dog would have just bit him in the rear end or something like that, you know, and he couldn't have played the next game or something? I said, that was dumb. Even on film, you know, until you saw it in person, you really didn't understand how fast he was running. You always felt like you were in the game when you had, you know, a player like that.
Just to watch him make so many miraculous plays, I remember watching him make a one-handed grab on an interception. That was just amazing. And then he goes back on the offensive side of the ball. 2 plays later, he's making a beautiful run and a cut, and the whole time we just kept pinching ourselves going, wow, this
was the staff, the ST staff, teachers and, you know, coaches. Everybody was good to me, and they helped me out with the process of me. Once I started getting like offers and stuff, the counselors was helping me out with making sure I had all my classes together, and so everybody just came together. I always got like a lot of letters. But I think when things changed, I went to a Nike camp at LSU, and I ran that 4.2 340 over there. And then it used to be Rivals.com or whatever, so they had done like an article on me. That's when things started to pick up. I thought I was gonna go to Southern Miss, and then they had a bunch of other guys that I knew, like during the process, like Terrence Calais, and it was like 7, 8 of us, and we just all went to Tech. I didn't know what to expect. I ain't gonna lie, I threw up like the first week. Every day, like in the weight room outside, I was throwing up. I said, man, I don't know if this college football for me. I think they was thinking about redshirting me like my freshman year. Thinking about it, I probably wish I should have. I wasn't used to that, you know. I was ready to. My mind think I was ready to play now, but I stuck it out, and actually, you know, I eventually started. Then like the 4th, 5th game, I started starting receiver. Sophomore year, I think we went 8-5, and then we won the bowl game. Sophomore year, I would say the best, because I might have returned like 5 returns that year. So it was, but then after that, I stopped getting less and less kicks. So.
Well, you remember when we'd gone to the Independence Bowl to watch him play, and we were sitting in that end zone, and when they kicked to him, because really they needed a spark, they needed to have something happen, and when they kicked to him, I remember us all looking at each other like dumbfounded, like, why would they do that? Which I'm sure they didn't want to. And then when he took off, that was the spark in that game right there. You know, that's what turned that game around.
I mean, we had a few games on TV that year, but that was like my first, like I would say, first big, like national televised game. Like before the game, everybody was talking, man, when I score, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But I ain't gonna lie, I don't know what. I just try to just like throw the ball on the ground, but the next thing you know, it just went in the stands. I had a lot of teams calling me during the draft, and it was like, we got some late picks, like you one of the ones we considered and stuff like that, but you know, it didn't work out. But I knew that if I didn't get drafted, I was gonna have, you know, options to go. The reason I chose Miami was Ike Hilliard was the receiver coach over there. It was like a league. They had, so the team I was on, they had like Tim Crouch, and they had like Maurice Claret was the running back, and they had like first rounders and so it was a pretty good league. I think it only lasted that 1 year though. When I got there, it was cold. I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to that. Then the style of the thing, like running to the line, like arena ball and stuff like that. Like I said, I got a call to go back to Canada, but I was like, man, I don't know. I wasn't just, I was injured a lot. My toe was messed up, and I was having a lot of hamstring problems. I was like, man, I just was tired of being in the training room a lot. So I was like, man, I think that's it. Back then, I didn't really put too much thought into too much things. I really didn't know exactly where I would end up, because I was just trying to, you know, I know it was sports, but I thought I'd play football forever, so I didn't think anything after football. I mean, my job title is a network technician, but I basically do a lot of other things also. But man, I'm just in the IT field, and I did a few years. I was in Afghanistan. I just got back from Qatar, so that was government. And Alaska was all field, and BP, I do all field stuff. So been back and forth for the past like 4 or 5 years. So I was less for words, but I was more of a action. Because a lot of people used to talk a lot of stuff to me, but then all they did was motivate me. So I always tried to learn, put myself in a better position.
In junior high and high school and college and the pros, he had to overcome, you know, the size. I mean, he spoke with his actions. He spoke, you know, with what he could do on the field, and everybody knew what he could do on the field, especially the guys that played with him and practiced with him and all of that.
I wish I would have trained a little more and just took care of my body throughout like high school, probably college too. So I think if I had to do it again, that's about the only thing I think I would change. I don't know. I always think about that. If I could have went to a school and played running back, what kind of numbers I would have did, or how things would have worked if I was able to play running back.
The love for his family. You know, he's a family person, very family oriented.
Always was humble. He was always a good practice player.
He was the type of kid that other kids flocked to, other kids looked up to. You know, just by talking to him, you wouldn't know how brave an athlete he was.